like we may be live with an excellent connection.
It's alive!
Yay!
Yay!
What's up, party people?
What's up?
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Sorry, ran a little late this morning. We're not sorry. We're
sorry, but not sorry. That's the official anthem of our new Appalachain Parley.
Right.
Sorry, not sorry.
I really almost opened the day with 99 love balloons.
That'd be a good opening song to start with. So what's up with you this week, brother?
No, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, well, I'm very well aware of that.
Metaphorically, physically, literally.
And literally. It was my birthday this week. My birthday's on Groundhog's Day, so I'm well aware.
I forget, man. Yeah, happy birthday, John.
Yeah. But I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't.
I know. So now I'm an asshole.
No, dude, I don't remember people's birthday. If it wasn't for Facebook telling me it was people's birthday, I wouldn't remember. I mean, I'm sure I'm not any different than half the people out here.
I'm old school. I try.
Dude, I remember the people that are, like I can barely remember my mom and dad's and.
Don't expect me to remember your phone number.
Well, I mean, I got your phone number because you've had it for 37 years. Like, it's the same fucking number since I fucking known you, probably.
I had the same number on my pager.
Gangsta. Yeah.
When I went to get my cell phone from Verizon in 1999, I had a pager on my side, and I said, "I'm a dumbass. Is there any way I can keep the same number?" And the guy said, "Let me look. Yeah, I can give you that number." And he gave me the same number.
Yeah, 99, you might be jumping the gun a little bit there. I don't think real cell phones really came out that early.
Yeah, the Nokia's, yes.
Those big
yes.
bricks. I know
smartphones. I was living in
were 06, 07. Like
the StarTech Motorola was the expensive phone at this point.
Was that really 99?
That was 99, dude.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Because, dude, I remember when I was like 14 or 15, like the big brick motherfuckers. And that was like 93-ish.
Yeah.
94. And I had bag phones and shit. Remember bag phones?
Yes. We had one. We had three. Dad had three of them. One in Sean's car, one in his car, and one in Mom's car. You didn't use it unless you were broke down.
Yeah. They never used it.
It was like 97 cents a minute or some crazy shit.
Except like sometime, what was some weird shit like nights and weekends was free? Some shit like that. Motherfuckers be sitting in their car in the driveway talking on the cell phone, on the car phone.
I got in a political argument with some young kid the other day.
You don't say.
No, this is great. Because he goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Bitch, I'm older than Google." I've read books. We used to not have an option. We used to have to read books. If we wanted to know things, we had encyclopedias.
Yep. I still remember those motherfuckers.
I would love for it to it would take like a whole 2 or 3 days, but go get the whole stack of encyclopedias from my mom's house from like the 1960s and just go through them page by page.
And see all the shit that's changed.
All the shit that's changed, all the shit they decided to start lying about. Look, if it happened in 1920 and they wrote in 1960 what happened.
Right.
And now all of a sudden in 2023 we're like, nah, that's not really how it happened. You know what? When they wrote it down after it happened, this is what it looked like.
Yep. I remember them shits. We had encyclopedias in my house, and my grandmother, she made sure I'm good right now. I smoke right freaking here. I got a fatty rolled up ready. But my grandmother gave me like a damn near lifetime subscription to National Geographic magazines. So like every month or 2 months or something, whenever they came, I got a magazine in the mail. So I had a stack of fucking National Geographic magazines.
And that's
and a
where
whole
you
bunch
saw
of
your first
encyclopedias.
movies.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't have internet porn when we were kids.
first time I thought I was looking at anything funny was I saw a J.C. Penney catalog.
Right.
A woman in her
Right.
bra, and I was
Right.
like, "Holy shit!"
Right. And I just wanted to look at the toys in the back section.
Right.
That's just where I opened it to.
Like we talked about last week, you know what I'm saying? He didn't even know about drugs until they showed it to us.
Right. You shouldn't have showed us drugs. You should have showed us videos of drug addicts.
Yeah, or you could have showed us videos or something on how to, be financially smart about how we function in our lives.
Right. Right. So,
Anywho,
you know what? Before we jump into stuff, if we're hitting a point, we're going to talk about this balloon here in a minute. I'm sure.
oh yeah,
You want to start with the balloon?
we can.
We can talk. We get it out of the way. But listen. Quit fighting with your family and quit arguing politics and understand people have different views, because as fast as things are coming to light, they're never going to apologize, but they're going to see that the conspiracy theorists kind of called it right all along, whether they like to or not. So when they don't apologize, but just suddenly randomly call you on a Tuesday to see how you're doing, all of a sudden, just bygones, man, bygones. Because I tell you what, this coal miner over here is going to need his hippie cousin when the shit hits the fan, and vice versa. Don't quit being petty about politics.
And that's the thing about this country, but more importantly, this state, is you might have some disagreements with family or friends. Your political views might be different, and that's okay. I don't really give a fuck how you vote, because you vote for you and your family's best interest. I don't care how you vote. You can be as Democrat as you want. I don't give a shit. Because I'm going to judge you solely on how you treat me and my family. If you treat me different because I'm a Republican, you can go fuck yourself. You are the lowest scum of the earth. Because I'm going to treat you no differently. If I see you need a jump, I'm going to give you a jump. If your mom needs help carrying the groceries in because your ass is at work, I'm going to come over and help your mom carry the groceries in. I'm going to treat you no differently than I would any other of my friends. That's the thing. And when shit hits the fan, politics is the last thing on someone's mind. The only reason why we have such a political divide in this country is because we're allowed to do so. All this political divide, religious divide, financial divide, it keeps us occupied. It really does. Dude, you want to talk about the collapse of society or whatever you might want to call it? Just take away the internet. Take away the power grid. Take away one major key factor where we're not constantly occupied doing something.
According to studies,
people are going to come out of their house.
According to studies, 10% will survive an EMP attack. 10%.
I'm not even talking about anything.
No, I'm just saying, you said
and
take the internet away, so I'm saying, you shut down the electricity.
Right, but you and I know, they might have a weapon now.
You don't need an EMP. An upset teenager can do it from the school bus nowadays.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. The point is like, it's going to take something drastic like that to bring people out of their funk, where they realize that all of these politicians, right and left, they're all corrupt, they're all out for their best interest, and the only difference is Republicans don't want to spend money, and Democrats want to spend money. Everything else can be argued. I'm for abortion, I'm against abortion, I'm for gay marriage, I'm against gay. No one really gives a fuck. That's your point of view. At the end of the day, Republicans want a smaller government, less control of the American people. Mm-hmm. Democrats want the exact opposite. At the very basic.
That's exactly what it is at the end of the day.
Everything else can be moved. Your left center,
We'll
right
give
center.
you give you more, but we want more control over you versus
We'll give you more security if you give us some of your freedoms.
yeah.
And that's exactly how we as American military, that's how we do everything else in the world.
I don't feel secure, motherfucker.
I mean, we promise security to other countries in exchange for them using the American dollar as their financial currency.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just an exchange, this for that.
I just, you know.
But at the end of the day, dude, you know as well as I do, the shit hits the fan. These neighbors that you had an argument with about your political views, they're going to be the first ones.
All right.
And it's not going to be any apology needed.
I was just walking through Walmart the other day and was getting, you know, I overheard a conversation between some people, and it was like, you know, I told you, somebody was giving a family member a literal, like, political "I told you so" thing, you know, and I was like, you know, it is what it is, because everything comes to light, you know. The only things we can argue about are moral issues. And to make moral issues,
and even then, it's not.
And yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not even moral issues. You give me the most left motherfucker out there, and I guarantee you he knows better than to kill people or to steal from someone or to.
Right.
Those are morals.
Well,
those are your basic morals.
You know,
literally the only thing the biggest divide in our country today are your big sections of how we live our lives, whether it's politics, left versus right, finances, rich versus poor, religious, God loving versus who gives a shit. I don't know what the agnostics,
atheists.
Maybe, I don't
There's
know
a whole list, man.
There's a whole bunch of them,
Catholics?
but I know agnostics is the big one where you just don't believe in anything. There's nothing. When you're dead, you're dead. Like literally, the Big Bang Theory was all science. There's no mystical being. Pretty sure agnostic covers all of that.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've always had this issue with this. I've always had this issue with it, and I don't say it very often. How come, and you know, how come my theory, it's a theory, it comes from the Bible, but nonetheless, it's technically, theoretically, my theory or belief that a high and mighty being came and created all this, me, you, had his own ideals, had his own methods, his own reasonings, his own. But why does that sound crazier than the magical explosion that caused everything we have to work perfectly in sync? The rivers run north to south. The gravity doesn't crush us. We're exactly the right amount of space from the sun. The moon sits right in just the right place to make the currents right. I'm not advocating at the moment for either. I'm just saying you lay both on the table and ask a guy from Mars who's never been here, woke up here, doesn't know anything about the place, and say, these are our two theories for why and how mankind exists. Look, man, both are either equally as believable or equally sound insane.
They do. And that's exactly the reason why that believing either of those is very difficult.
Yeah. If you don't believe in one, believing in the other is, if you believe in one.
I'm a firm believer that.
But you lay them both on the table, you're like.
I personally believe that there is something out there, some type of spiritual thing out there. What that is, I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and devote my whole life to it, because I've asked questions, and when you ask a preacher or a pastor or a deacon or any man of God these difficult questions, the only answer that you'll ever get is you have to have faith. And I'm not that faithful.
Spirituality is a lot more important than religion.
It is. And that's exactly the reason why I've moved away from that shit.
Yeah.
I'm more of a believer that there is a possibility that Moses did see something. It's a good possibility. It's more likely it was a fucking alien. And when you're a simple-minded human from back that far and you see something flying down from the air,
nobody describes God.
Exactly my point.
God could just, I mean.
The thing is, the burning bush has been proven to have that particular bush that they
olive
that they describe in the Bible. That particular bush is known to exist in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
When that bush is burned in any way, it produces a DMT effect. So basically, Moses was tripping balls when he saw what he saw. You don't know whether it was a spiritual being or whether it was a fucking alien that finally has arrived here. You don't. The Big Bang Theory? What if? Here's one for your fucking mind. What if 14 million light years away, there's aliens on another fucking planet just like this? The Big Bang happens, boom, there's a bright burst in the sky. And the fucking aliens on that planet are like, ooh, I wonder what that was. It just so happened to take them 4 million years to get here. And when they get here, they arrive at that time.
You know what? Let's get crazy.
Who knows?
What if that civilization realized there was a livable planet all the way out there and simply created 2 clones and launched them bad boys through space?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Well, I mean, but still.
Why?
But still, then they come here and they're like, "This is how you behave. These are the rules. This is what you do." But what's the difference?
There is no difference.
What's the difference?
You know, how do you? I mean, the thing is, you don't know. And
I really think there's like a whole spiritual world around us at the same time.
Dude, I believe
it's some deepness.
Like you never know, dude. Like I've had thoughts in my head sometimes. Like this is your practice phase. Because when you die on Earth, you're reborn on an alien planet somewhere, and that's your real life. This is your practice phase. This is where you get it right. And if you live a good long life, you made it. You graduated.
I don't feel like learning to pay taxes.
No, I'm just saying
is the most
human existence.
Yeah.
How to cohabitate with other humans or other people. That's what I'm talking about. Paying taxes is just something our greedy ass fucking government has done.
Why are we paying taxes? No, wait, hear me out. I got into reading some stuff the other day, and I came across 3 words. State-owned enterprise. Look.
Exactly.
If the United States government owned factories making whatever, processing chips, they owned hotels, they made revenue, and we didn't have to pay near as much in taxes, I would somehow be cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why aren't they doing this? It's perfectly legal under the Constitution. State-owned enterprises are allowed.
They are.
Or they need to do a lot more of it.
They're doing it. They're doing it right now. Like even in smaller.
You're already tracking my shit on Amazon. Just own Amazon.
Right. So I mean, the thing with that is in order for capitalism to really function, you need as little state-owned property as possible, and that includes state governments. You know, like on a small scale, because this is what I know. 100% facts. I know this. If you own a home and it catches on fire, whether it's no fault of your own, 99% of the time, if it's no fault of your own, you have insurance to cover it, you're a good homeowner, shit like that. If you're a slumlord or you're one of these fuckers who make meth in their basement, you know what I mean? If your house catches on fire and it requires an emergency response from the city of Charleston, that whatever's left of that structure plus that land that it's on is instantly, within 90 days after the fire, it instantly has a lien put on it for the amount that it costs to extinguish that fire, the amount of the emergency response, which is sometimes in the thousands of dollars. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars if you have multiple fire trucks, multiple ambulances, multiple police. It can get up to tens of thousands of dollars. If you're a slumlord, you can't really afford that fine. So what you do is you sign the property over to the city of Charleston. The city of Charleston comes in, demolishes what's left of the structure, levels out the property, and builds a housing. Whether it's a duplex or a four, they build a housing there. The city of Charleston owns the property, they own the project, they own the housing. Then they rent it out through HUD or some other Section 8 federal government program.
That's just government money going back to government money.
Federal government coming into state or city government. That's all that is.
That's still tax money.
You and I can do the same fucking thing. No, it's not though. It's not. Like, that's the thing. You know, all of the money that the federal government spends is not tax money. It's really not. Not that we pay. You know what I mean? Because you and I, we get refunds every year, which that says we pay too much in taxes throughout the year. That's why we're getting a refund. It's our money.
Right.
We didn't just wake up and get a fucking refund. No, I'm getting a refund because I paid y'all bitches too much this year. You know?
Too much every year.
Yeah, you stole my money all year long, and now you're saying, "Oh shit, my bad. Here's some extra." But you've been holding this money in your account all year long. You've been making interest off of my overpayments. The government makes money all the time. But that's just one way that cities and municipalities make money off of the federal government. So, no different than the prison, the prisoners. The prison industry makes money off of the labor of those prisoners at 30 cents an hour or whatever it is nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They're not making shit, but they're making money off of that. And what that money goes to, you don't know. I mean, you just don't know. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Governments waste money. Period. At the end. And if you could stop government waste, we could all stop paying taxes. And that includes your billionaires. If you stop government waste, there's no reason why we should ever get tax refunds, Justin. I'm saying last year I got $4,500 back. I mean, I got one kid, I got a tax credit, I got credits to do that. But I got $4,500 back in taxes. Dude, if I split that up into 52 weekly paychecks, that's almost $100 extra per week. Oh, fuck your goddamn tax return. I want my $100 a week, bro.
Right, right.
I would much rather them send me a letter on February 1st and be like, you don't owe us shit, have a good life.
Right.
Thank you.
Right, right, right.
Because the federal government took the exact amount of taxes out of my check. Not too much, not too little. You're the federal fucking government. Get that shit right.
You know what? You've been taking my money all year. You know how much I make. Why do I got to fill out this paperwork? Why can't you just send me a refund?
Matter of fact, since you took too much, I want some extra. Y'all fucked up, because that's what y'all would do to me.
Interest.
Yeah, that's what y'all would do to me. It's exactly the kind of shit y'all would do to
8%.
me.
Dude. Yeah. All right, so then, yeah, it was an earthquake in Syria.
Yeah,
that's a quick cover.
Bad one from what I hear.
Yeah, man, 360 people dead. It's pretty rough looking.
Yep. But you know, those areas, even though they're prone to earthquakes, they don't really have the very strict building codes that you would expect
No.
for someone who's prone to that type of natural disasters.
Right.
You know, and I guess you can't really plan for an earthquake because it could strike anywhere.
No,
But,
you
you
can't
know,
plan for an earthquake. We've had earthquakes here.
I mean, but California still won't let you build your house within X amount of miles of the San Andreas Fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't build on a fault line. And I'm not saying, I mean, Turkey and Syria, to me, when you say those names, I feel like those are lesser educated countries. But they still have their smart people.
They
still should know better than to build on a fault line or close to a fault line, or build these apartment buildings with 100 motherfucking units in.
Well, you got to realize about other countries, man. They're not at all like we view things in a very petty way in America. You know, we view intelligence,
and it's
we view intelligence as Jordan Peterson, or somebody who's well spoken, but we view intelligence as doctors who can, but dude,
yeah.
we don't give enough credit to the intelligence level of the man that lives up at the end of this holler that only has to go to the store once a year.
Yeah, because
lives comfortably, happily, does some side jobs to cover what he needs, and
that's that's a different type of intelligence.
That's intelligence.
But to society, this is a fucking dumb hick living by himself. And it's no different. There's no difference between. I mean, there's a huge difference between comparing that to comparing.
There is. So these people are not.
You can compare apples to apples in this
all less intelligent.
You take an let's take it. Let's
They're
take one.
Smart.
Take an architect from Turkey. Take an architect from America. Guarantee it. That Turkish architect could never be an architect here. Our standards are much higher. Our material quality is so much better. He could never function in our society doing his job.
Oh, I bet he could.
I don't think he could. Their building standards are way different. Dude, there's a reason why there's massive amounts of people that die in these earthquakes. A lot of these people live in shit conditions. These buildings are not built to a code that we would require.
Well,
to be an earthquake type region.
Let's ask a question though. Earthquake history in Syria.
I mean, I can't say it happens often. It happens often enough to upgrade your structures. If you want to build a hotel in Florida, you can, but you're gonna earthquake proof that motherfucker, or you're not gonna build it. And yes, hurricane proof. You're gonna hurricane proof that, and if you don't hurricane proof it, you're not gonna build on our beach.
Right.
And yes, hurricane proofing takes that $10 million hotel and turns it into a $15 million hotel. Absolutely, it adds to the cost. But you can't tell me it doesn't keep the residents safe.
Right.
It works.
Right. No, it's necessary.
It works. Just like these high rises in LA. After the LA earthquake in '93 or whatever it is, you can't build shit in LA without earthquake proof. And I don't know exactly how they do that shit, but you get buildings over a certain height and they have to be on independent, like, skid plates and shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These people, I guarantee you, if you check the news in 6 months in Turkey, where this building collapsed and killed all the people.
So the last earthquake there was 1980. All right. Yeah, the last earthquake there, the large historical earthquake in northwest Syria, 1980, cited by 26. Such an earthquake is not expected for 1 century. Horrific documents containing detailed descriptions of material damage and ground deformation due to earthquakes have been used to establish a catalog of local seismic and assign epicentral intensities to the earthquakes. Large earthquakes affecting the northern Syrian fault system have reoccurrence interval of 340 to 360 years. Here we use this figure. That's pretty cool. They found some old scrolls and was able to, like, the scrolls said every, like, this Middle East is a cool place, man.
Right. Well, let me since you brought this up that Syria hasn't had an earthquake since 1980.
Yeah.
Well, that's 50 years.
That's
40,
that's
43
not that
years.
long.
But let me counter that with this little tidbit that I just came across.
Okay.
The Middle East has a history of earthquake activity. Between 1900 and 2014, the region has been affected by 200 large earthquakes.
Okay.
In 114 years, they've had 200 earthquakes. And this is the Middle East. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran. You know what I mean? Now, some parts of Turkey kind of drift into northern Africa, I think.
Oh,
or Egypt is more northern Africa, but I know Turkey's right there.
Yeah,
but it's still considered the Middle East. 200 large earthquakes in 114 years. That right there is enough activity to make these people, these future contractors or these future architects, build something better. And I hate to say it, but when you build better, you have to raise the rent. I get it. That might create some kind of homelessness issues. I completely understand the whole ramifications of doing that. But in order,
they can move to the line.
A government's job, in my opinion, our government's main job, is to protect its citizens. And if you keep allowing people to build these shanties and these half-ass constructed tenements or whatever the fuck they're called, you know what I mean? You got 13 people living in a one-bedroom.
But if you're making half the people homeless, who you building them for?
Well, I'm not saying make the half the people homeless, but instead of building up, try to build out a little bit. Because when you put people in these high rises that aren't built worth a shit,
what city is it?
Little rumble.
Have you seen in China where they've the newer buildings? They've started offsetting the floors and having room for gardens and like that. We definitely need to move in that direction. But if we're in a society where we're concerned with earthquakes, I definitely don't feel like moving up is
exactly moving out is the best. And I understand. I come from a position. I don't
feel like you can really fully earthquake proof things.
You can't really. But I'm almost out of battery on that. But we can Google it real quick. Google how many earthquakes have hit California in the last 20 years. You hear about them, there's no mega disastrous hurricane.
How many earthquakes have hit California in the last decade? July 2019, there was a 7.1. In 2016, there was a 6.5. There was 2014, a 6.0. There's view 75 more.
There you go. So you see, and now you can cross-reference that information if you really want to dig into it. Mm-hmm. Cross-reference that information with how many people died during each of those hurricanes or earthquakes. Because earthquake proofing works. It just does. We have lessened the amount of human casualties that occur during these earthquakes. Have we lessened the amount of property damage that occurs? Absolutely not. There's no way you can ever do that. Your property is going to get destroyed. But when your 17-story high-rise doesn't collapse on top of each other, you're not going to have that many casualties.
Right.
And yes, I understand, glass falling on people. People do die. A rock falling falling from a 17-story building will puncture a hole in your face. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
I get it. People
yeah,
die.
yeah.
I get it, but you're not seeing these buildings in California collapse floor after floor on top of each other the way they do in Syria, Turkey, Iraq, Afghanistan. You know, I mean,
That's horrifying.
it is. I mean, that just looks like a clusterfuck to me.
Oh, it absolutely is.
But see, look at it. They're
You
just
know
pancaked
what?
on top of each other.
Everybody running to help is better than everybody standing around. How many people? If this were America, people would be like,
Yeah, you're gonna have your few,
yeah,
but Americans come together.
we do.
Dude, 9/11. I'll never forget where I was in 9/11. I was at a volunteer fire department. I was on a volunteer fire department, and we were told, don't go anywhere. Tell your family you're here at the fire department. We're on standby. And we were standing there waiting to get to the airport. We were ready to deploy. We were going to New York City. That little ass volunteer fire department that nobody's fucking heard of. And we were ready. We couldn't get the Kanawha County Commission to pay for our trip though.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, we were ready. So people, like we talked about, Americans come together when the shit hits the fan.
Oh, definitely.
Nobody gives a fuck about politics when it comes down to
We
it.
definitely came together quick on 9/11.
Without a doubt.
Everybody loved everybody.
Dude, George Bush was a bumbling fucking idiot. Rudy Giuliani is no different. A bumbling, fucking, stumbling idiot sometimes. But those two guys were fucking heroes that day. You know, that year.
Man, America came out and was like, you know, the people.
We stood behind.
We the people, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We wanted we didn't know who did it, but we wanted them all dead. And then we wanted you to bring them over here and shoot them again in front of us. Like,
and you can say what you want. The conspiracy theory is always going to be there. You know, about that whole thing being planned to bring Americans together or to boost military enrollment or whatever. There's always that theory, that conspiracy theory that all that was planned. And at the end of the day, if it was, then that's a shitty way to really think about it.
It is,
Until
but
I
nonetheless,
see some kind of evidence of it, it's hard for me to think about that. But
should I do that next week? Should we cover the 9/11 conspiracy theory?
we can.
Okay, that sounds like a fun project for the week.
We definitely can. That's going to be an interesting one.
Meantime,
Yeah,
let's talk about the conspiracy theory of the balloon.
the balloon.
Now, I'll tell you what, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. Because, you know, Facebook is full of all kinds of crazy ideals and all kinds of different kinds of people. And I'm not going to lie, I love going into the flat earth groups because, well, I just like to argue. I know the earth is round, I know.
But that's an easy target, though.
It is. I just like to argue. So sometimes I'll go in there. You know, here's my thing. I don't argue that the earth is flat. I just argue that if your only evidence to me that for your theory that the earth is a globe is the government told you so, and several government agencies backed it up, you're going to have to do better. That's all I'm saying. You would need some real science. I don't trust government science anymore.
No. And as fucking annoying as his voice really is, there's a reason why I listen to fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's voice drives me nuts, but he is a scientific motherfucker. Here's the fucking proof right here.
Right here. You see this? But anyway, so the flat earthers, let's get this out of the way, because the flat earthers don't believe space is real. Some believe religiously that we live in the firmament, which is a glass dome, basically.
Yeah, like the Truman Show.
Yeah, okay. some believe that we haven't been to space because scientifically we can't get through the Van Allen belt, which is radiation and debris. And anything that goes through it will most likely be torn to shreds. That's the scientific people who say space is definitely real. We just can't go there because we can't get through the Van Allen belt. But anyway, the flat earthers are like, so, and the anti-spacers are like, we told you so. We can't go to space. All these satellites are on balloons, and they float high in the atmosphere, so you can't see them. They're not looking down from space on these satellites. Your cell phone satellites aren't. They're just on balloons, but they can move. Like, that's their conspiracy theory. So this thing, boy, this thing lit up the net. Let me tell you, this lit up the net. We told you. We've been telling you forever. I'm like, you know, if that were true, let's talk crazy. If that were true, every country would have a reason to jump up and be like, no, that's a surveillance satellite from an enemy country. And even the enemy country now, who has trillions of dollars invested in their space program, has to be like, yeah, it's ours. Because y'all can't come out and say, oh, it's a satellite. What a balloon.
Hey, shit.
Like,
scrolling across the screen this morning on news.
So arguing this with these people, as all I'm saying, arguing this with these people, it's difficult.
That's the reason why I stay out of shit like that. That's not even worth my fucking time. You know, it's no longer a conspiracy theory when it's 1,000,000% been proven untrue.
I know, but you know.
Period. The end.
It's kind of like David
people
Koresh with the whole the
worth my
government's
fucking-
going to
right, exactly.
government's going to
worth
come
my
after
time.
us one day. Government's coming after us one day. Yeah, you're fucking crazy. And then one day you look out the window and you're like, hey, Dave.
Yeah. When the government starts coming after
They're
you,
dropping a tank
who
off
do
in
you
the
think
front.
they're coming after? They're coming after the loudest motherfuckers out there.
I just got a kick out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Those flat earthers are idiots.
they are, but it's a good time. Now, here is my thing. What are they gathering from that? What is the purpose of that? Now, we just talked about satellites. There ain't nothing they can't gather from space that they can gather from that balloon. They can take a space satellite, zoom in on your house, and see what room you're in.
Yeah, I guess you can.
What intelligence
But
can they gather from
Let
that
me-
satellite? From the satellites in space, they can hack any system in the world
right, so
and get any information they want. They have
Absolutely.
spies everywhere. What can they gather from that?
I'm about to give you what I think. Space satellites, all satellites, require and rely on a heavy dose of technology. Our bases where we keep our most sensitive stuff, our nuclear warheads, our ICBMs, whatever, our nuclear submarines, our, you know, where all the places where we keep all our top secret shit, there's no way that I can't think that they don't have some type of scrambling system so that when the satellite passes over Earth at a certain GPS coordinate, it's scrambled. You can't see or hear shit. So how do you defeat high technology? Little or no technology. And they flew over several bases where we keep ICBMs, nuclear warheads, secret technology, secret Air Force bases, not secret bases, but places
No, they
that
did.
it's not a secret base, is what I meant, but the bases that they did fly over are very high priority targets, so to speak.
Are
And
we
so-
really fool enough to believe that we jammed its signal?
No, I'm not. But I do believe that what I just said, you know, they used low technology to infiltrate a certain aspect of our military circle, knowing 100% that they either own or are heavily influencing Joe Biden.
Oh, absolutely.
So Joe Biden chose not to shoot this fucking balloon down when it was over Alaska, simply because he owes them a favor or something to that effect.
Well, have you been keeping up with the document story at all?
Not really. After the last little batch,
They found 1,850 boxes at the University of Delaware. 415 gigabytes. Enough to fill up 2 tractor fucking trailers, excuse my French. And there's coming out now that Hunter had access to every bit of it. And he proves it in an email. That story's waiting.
where's the source?
I
Who
got
is
the
the source?
receipts.
Who is the source? Is it a credible source?
Oh, dude, it's
Or is it some YouTube reporter? Or
no,
like
it's
for
Fox
real?
News.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get into this in a minute. But you're right, but that balloon, it traveled, and we know where it went from here. So it went on over to North Carolina and out.
That's where they shot it down. Was
They
outside
could
of
have
South
took
Carolina.
that balloon down. Now the thing nobody's talking about is apparently one went on across Canada, and somebody claimed yesterday that we had 2 going across South America, which that starts making me curious. Why are all these satellites on balloons floating around all over the place all of a sudden? But yeah.
I think,
Are they planning an invasion path?
for me personally,
Here's what we know about China. China has 2 specialties that we've learned in the last couple of years.
hacking and germ warfare.
Okay, 3. Hacking, germ warfare, and weather manipulation.
I mean,
This
that's-
balloon did follow the natural jet stream of America, the natural wind current. That natural wind current went all the way through the Arctic areas of Canada. I'm not saying they're planted the seed. I'm just saying that where the balloon went through the Arctic areas of Canada, the cold areas, down straight across our crop fields and out across the south. If somehow, I'm not good with weather manipulation science, but like I said, we can start covering our old subjects that we screwed up on the first time again, because we talked about weather manipulation at one point. What if you caused an Arctic frost? Not this time of year, but say June.
Well, for one,
They said, "Oh, it's gathering weather data." They said that, what? Because I know how you guys are with weather.
all right, so you're getting on 2 subjects. You
Or
gotta let
floods.
me touch on this last
Yeah, or flooding. Major flooding, rain.
one. If they don't, there's no way that they have the ability to manipulate weather like that, and we don't. That's one. Our scientists and R&D type shit like that, I firmly believe that they're slightly ahead of other countries. Weather manipulation on that level is too much. You're talking about upsetting a whole climate if you send an Arctic blast into June. There's no way that they can do it and we couldn't.
That's right.
So I think you went too far there.
No, because I mean, let's
Now,
be
if
honest.
you're
We
talking
could have
about-
had 1 billion nuclear power plants on this planet making power until somebody decided to weaponize it. You see what
Not somebody.
I'm
us.
just saying, but
We did it.
we could have never weaponized nuclear weaponry. We could have just built nuclear power plants, and it would have been a peaceful world. But we looked at it and said, "Man, some people up with that."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Dubai's been growing crops. China will use weather manipulation. We talked about that one time to clear the weather for an air show. Like, and they did that in 1988.
And
They cleared the weather for an air show.
Right.
So, like, to think they didn't look at that and be like, you know, get somebody up with that. You know, like, it seems logical. Somebody looked at the laser and was like, you know, we can perform surgeries with this. We can do quick welds. We can cut through things. And so the U.S. military looked at it and said, you know, we get some people up with that. You know?
Most of the stuff most of the stuff that we find out that we use in the medical field at some point ends up or started off as some kind of weapon somewhere. Like,
If something crazy came out next week, like there wasn't an earthquake in Syria, the United
like-
States dropped a rod from God,
these
no shock.
these lasers that they use for surgery, they're never started off like that. They're started off mounted to a fucking train, and so, somehow it becomes hand size. You know what I mean? But it always starts with a military application. Let's mount this to a train.
Yeah.
Like, we can fuck some people up. We can literally take out this whole mountain. Like, let's build a tunnel. Okay. You know, I mean, dude, like, it's unreal, the stuff that we do.
But really, like what?
So, you know, anyway, like, let's
They,
get
you
back
know
to
what? Maybe there's a network of people that they have that. Maybe there's a network of underground people in America that they need to communicate with, and these balloons give them those secure communications.
I mean, you know, we could go over scenario
Yeah.
after scenario after scenario.
They didn't send them for no reason.
Let's like the most logical thing for me is simply this: the Chinese want to send a message to Taiwan that you are not as safe as you think you are. We floated this motherfucking balloon all the way across their country with zero response. Yes, Joe Biden doesn't have to act. Our military can act immediately. But even before our military can react, the Chinese government could take over Taiwan in less than a fucking day.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
always-
with that, it's not an American response to defend.
We're not half the threat.
It's an American response to invade and take back over. And then it becomes a fucking war again. But this sends a message. This U.S. military is not as mighty as you think it is under Joe Biden.
We are.
It just is what it is. He said he gave the order to shoot this bitch down on Wednesday when it was over Montana. Like, why did it take you 3 days to shoot it down?
Because Millie is
Exactly
in
my
China's pocket too.
Exactly my point. They're all in China's pocket. That shit floated all the way across the country. And yes, it does look like it followed a jet stream, but that alone doesn't scream weather manipulation.
Doesn't. I'm just
I
coming
watch
up with
the weather every morning. And
My
I know what
thing,
the jet stream
my
is.
thing is this: they didn't send that over here. I don't think they just sent that over here to say we can do. I think that there's a reason that they could have done 1,000 things. You know what? They could have flew a military plane that goes real fast, right across, just squirted it across Florida and Georgia, or squirted it across fucking the Alaska and the bottom side of Washington and went back out. They could have done 1,000 things to say, hey.
But Justin, you're missing the point. You're missing the point, dude.
A satellite on a balloon?
No,
It's just silly.
I think you're completely missing the point on this one. Like, I really believe that you're missing the point completely on
Oh
this.
no, I hear the point.
Like, no, because every response that you give is a technological response. A jet that goes that fast is being picked up by our radars. This fucking balloon in the jet stream is not. Do you know who the first people to discover this balloon were?
Who?
The NOAA, a civilian department of, is it NASA maybe? The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Association. That's what NOAA is. They study ocean currents and air currents. They're the first people to pick up on this. Any one of these jets or any technological response like that is getting picked up and intercepted immediately, because that's deemed a threat. A fucking balloon in the jet stream is not a threat. You know what I mean?
You're right.
You're right. We got spy planes that can fly across the whole country of China in 37 minutes and take 1,000,000 pictures. 100 pictures per second or some weird shit like that. You know what I mean? Yes, we could all do that. All the major superpower countries have spy planes that can go up in the atmosphere and still take pictures of me going, oh, fuck you. You know, they all have these great cameras that can take pictures like that. We're not the only country that does it. But, you know, a certain level, it's no longer our airspace. Just like it is in China. Once you get to a certain height, you're not in that country's airspace. You're in space, which is owned by nobody. So these spy planes can fly really high in the atmosphere. They're not violating any international airspace laws, and they can take all the pictures they want. But it's easily interceptable. You know what I mean? This balloon, nobody even heard about it until Wednesday. These motherfuckers left China 2 weeks ago.
They knew it was like they knew it was in Alaska when it was in Alaska.
Yeah, well, we didn't.
We didn't. They knew.
It should have been shot down in Alaska if it was really that big of a threat. That's exactly the reason why I firmly believe that Joe Biden is a fucking bumbling.
You're telling me it's not an immediate threat. It might not be an immediate threat. But the guy outside casing your house ain't an immediate threat.
Dude,
but
and it's no different to me, it's no different when a Chinese man walks into Bill's Bank and Trust and says, I want to buy this 100,000 acres right here. Where you live at, bro? If your address says Xinjiang Shuang Province, China, you can't buy this property. Go fuck yourself. You have to be an American living in this country or doing business in this country in order to buy this piece of property. All these Chinese people buying up all this farmland, that's scarier than this fucking balloon.
Right. Right.
Bill Gates buying up all this farmland, that's more of a concern than this fucking balloon.
Right.
The problem with the balloon, to me, is the lack of military response. Like, this shit should have been shot down the instant it crossed the Aleutian Islands, or whatever that thing is that connects Russia to Alaska.
Do you know we still to this day, you know that one of those islands, America and Russia, still to this day,
Both have flags planted on it or some shit?
No, we take it back and forth like every 6 months. But like it's like, I think it's like every 2 or 3 or every 6 months, I guess. Like we'll like go over there and take the Russian flag down and put the American flag up and leave like a case of Tennessee whiskey. And then like 3 months later, they take some boats over there and they take the American flag and leave some vodka. Yeah, like they've been doing this since like World War. Apparently, it's this little tiny small island. It's not good for anything.
And dude, like I said, I did this.
That's where we had the inflatable bases.
Yeah,
that's great history. But
But
yeah,
anyway, I think that spy balloon or whatever that people keep calling it, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it should have been handled days ago. Like the first time any American citizen saw or heard this should have been like, we just shot down a Chinese balloon. There should have been no sightings of it before people found out about it.
I just don't trust, and I mean, you know, we look, I'm a
Mr.
hillbilly.
Transparency is not too transparent.
I'm a hillbilly. I'll argue all day, but I just do not trust the words. Oh, they just did that to show us that we won't do nothing about it any more than I trust the words.
Oh, they forgot.
They spent 10,000 years building a pyramid for a tomb.
You see my? Oh, you got it over there. Give me my blunt, motherfucker.
And yeah, I don't trust that the pyramids were tombs neither. Just tombs. They just built these for this is a
No,
big,
that goes back to my fucking alien thing.
so like I
You
don't
know, the alien came down here.
I don't trust that they tied a fucking thing the size
No.
of 2 school buses to a balloon and sailed it across America just to see if we would.
No, they had ulterior motives, and that's something you'll never find out. Because look, it's a balloon, right?
But it has something to do with either that natural wind stream or locations along that natural wind stream.
Of course, it's a balloon. Explain, since we're on the subject, before we get off the subject, since we're on the subject,
What if they were trying to
it's a
deliver
balloon,
Epstein's client
Justin.
list?
They said that it was shot down over the ocean to make its contents easier to retrieve.
And then they said that salt water
It's a
destroyed the
balloon.
electronics.
It's a balloon. It's a balloon. We used a $40,000 missile to shoot down a balloon. Dude, that jet that shot it down could have flew past it real fast and popped the fucking balloon. You didn't have to waste a fucking missile, bro. Like, you could have used one bullet. Or, you know, maybe not. However, you couldn't have sent a helicopter up there to retrieve
The balloon?
I've seen videos of helicopters connecting to power lines and hovering there long enough so the power line people can fix shit. You can't tell me we don't have an aircraft that was more specialized to take care of that. We chose to shoot it down. And I'm just shooting out numbers here. That was easily a $40,000
And
missile.
I mean, but
It's a balloon.
you could have shot it down over Kansas with a $40,000 missile and retrieved it from a field.
You could have fucking...
They said we shot it down over the ocean because we thought it would make the contents easier to retrieve.
You could have hooked up to a helicopter and lowered it down. And just popped the balloon. Somehow, some way, helicopter up, hook that motherfucker to a hook, pop the balloon, lower it back down. You didn't have to shoot shit down. It's a balloon. And look, the likelihood that this balloon, this has to be more technologically advanced than we're saying it is. Because you and I both have received balloons for our birthday. We know these helium balloons don't stay afloat that long. Them motherfuckers will be in the bottom of your floor in 2 days.
They probably used hydrogen.
No, it says it was a helium-filled balloon. If they
China's
use
going to
hydrogen,
kick our ass with some shit they picked up from Party Place.
if they use hydrogen, if they use hydrogen when they shot it down, you would have seen more of an explosion because hydrogen's flammable. You know, to that point where that missile would have ignited something.
This motherfucking
That's the
MacGyver
thing
turned
that
double
kills me,
agent
man.
on us.
Like, there's better ways to handle shit. You know, I mean, shit.
Did MacGyver turn double agent?
Apparently. But yeah, I feel like that the Chinese are doing this. There's no doubt in my mind, because I love my country, but my government is a fucking corrupt piece of shit fucking organization. We've done it to them. And they're like, you know what? Joe Biden looks like the perfect guy to send us one of those balloons over there too. And then I wake up on Twitter this morning and Twitter's on fire about how fucking 3 balloons came across during Trump's administration.
But nobody can confirm
no
that.
one
There's no
can prove.
evidence.
There's no receipt. There's no proof. There's no pictures. There's no confirmed sightings. Nothing. Just shit talking. Just to get their message out to bash Trump.
They're like the people in South Park when the city people come. Trump, Trump, Tesla, Tesla, Starbucks, Trump. Wi-Fi.
God damn the accuracy of some of these cartoons.
But I love you. But let's okay. So you know what? Fuck that balloon, because I really think that balloon was to take your eyes off of something very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all a distraction. It's all a way, you know. I think we have bigger fucking problems right now.
Oh, we do. Because listen to this. This is great. So we jumped into Hunter Biden there for just a minute. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but that dummy, yeah, I labeled that one dummy. That dummy came out this week and literally, like, admitted. In fact, he wants to press charges against the people who wrongfully released. He wants to press charges on the people that wrongfully stole and released the information from his laptop.
Well, that's impossible.
Yeah. Ooh, here. Enjoy this for just a minute.
Yeah, that's impossible. I already know why this is never going to come to fruition. It's just him trying to, it's like a stall tactic.
Oh, it's great, though, because it really is.
Served in several Republican administrations as a top lawyer and diplomat, including time as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. While worked in the Trump White House, he has since become a fierce critic of the former president. Ambassador Bolton, thank you for being here. Let's begin with foreign policy.
I really got to get better at this.
To Ukraine, as Germany now sends Leopard tanks over to Ukraine. What does this mean for the war?
Well, I think it's the right decision, although it came late, like many decisions, and I think still reflects an overall lack of strategy on the alliance side. But I think the thing to keep in mind is they don't.
They've already changed the code on that.
This decision, delayed as it was, will not have much of an impact. And I just think it underlines, while we
won't it go away?
Back a lot about alliance unity and our effectiveness, a lot remains to be done. This war is approaching its first anniversary. It's grinding pieces of Ukraine into the dust. It's had a heavy effect on Ukraine.
Why is that still going?
Time is not on the side of
what's going on?
Ukraine. I think we need to keep that in mind. Can Ukraine
Should just let it play. Go to the bathroom.
Yes, I think they can.
Yeah, I'm sitting there doing the dance and everything. Too much coffee this morning, eh?
We are in a conflict even though American troops are not involved. You have to know what your objectives are. We say our policy is the full restoration of sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. That means getting all the Russians out. If that's what we really mean, we need a plan to do that. I'm not saying we have to reveal it all publicly and tell the Russians, but we have to be able to explain to our populations, and the Europeans have to be able to explain to theirs what we're trying to get to and how we're going to get there. Let's talk about what we're trying to get to. What is the U.S. policy? What should it be? Beyond sending tanks, what about sending U.S. fighter jets? Well, lists of weapon systems don't amount to a strategy. I think the objective of full restoration of sovereignty is right. It was George H.
All right, see what's up with this.
In Kuwait,
All right.
1990, Bush then said, this will not stand, this aggression against Kuwait. And that's what Joe Biden needs to say today. So the strategy is, if your objective is to get all the Russians out, including from Crimea,
There we go. But anyway, there was originally a video of Hunter Biden's press conference where he came out and said he wanted to press charges, criminal charges, on the guy who leaked his laptop and personal contents. No.
You know, he could press as many charges as he wants, but that's one thing that the computer repair shop has that is irrefutable.
Right,
And
right.
that's a Hunter Biden signature that says if you don't pick your shit up in 30 days, I'm keeping it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and once it becomes his own personal property, he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it.
Right.
You know what? Matter of fact, you're lucky. Hunter Biden is actually lucky this guy is a good American citizen.
Right.
Because he turned it over to the FBI.
Right.
I can't guarantee you that I would have done that. I would have done some Twitter file shit. I would have released one little clip at a time to these news agencies. $10,000 a clip, motherfucker.
Right. Right.
I'm getting paid on this shit.
Right. I don't know,
this guy
man.
did the right thing.
That's a good way to get whacked.
Maybe, but everything is a good way to get whacked. I'm gonna at least die rich.
You know what? You can go whack a congressman.
Bro, matter of fact, I'm just gonna do it in one fell swoop.
If I found
fell swoop, here's Hunter Biden's laptop, Newsmax. I need $10 million because I'm gonna have to disappear after I sell this to you.
Right.
Period.
Right.
The end.
Right.
Fuck the FBI. I'm monetizing that shit, just like every other American would. You're lucky this guy got it, and not some Joe like me, because, bro, I'm getting paid on that shit.
Okay, but the only reason that's important, because we've been talking about that for forever. The only reason that's important is because this week, with this coming out, let's watch a little bit of news for a couple minutes. Promise this one will go better.
To his alma mater, the University of Delaware. According to lawyers representing the parties who are trying to get to these documents, there are 1,850 boxes and 415 gigabytes of electronic records consisting of the so-called Biden records. The documents are said to fill up 2 tractor-trailer trucks. What we do not know is who sent the money to the university to archive and maintain these records, as the university will not release the accompanying so-called gift agreement. Meanwhile, this upcoming Tuesday, the General Counsel for the National Archives and Records Administration will sit for an on-the-record interview with the House Oversight Committee over classified documents found at multiple unsecured locations, including Biden's Delaware home and his office at the Penn Biden Center. This comes as, according to Senator Ron Johnson, an email from Hunter Biden in 2014 about Ukraine to one of his business partners looked suspiciously like it was taken directly from classified information that the State Department gives members of the Senate when they travel overseas. This email from Hunter Biden to Devin Archer. Joining me right now to discuss all of this is Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz. He's a member of both the Judiciary and Foreign Relations Committees and is calling for a hearing on all of this. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
So now we're searching for the man.
So now we have, you remember when I was crazy last week and I said, is Joe Biden a foreign agent? Okay, well now we have complicit proof that his son was running around the world with access to classified documents. Not when he was vice president, sir, but when he was a senator. Now, dude, that's scary.
Right, it is.
Well, what okay, let me take that back. It's not scary. What it is it's concerning because what kind of decisions have been made in our world based on the information that Hunter Biden provided?
Magic frequency. And we start with...
Have people died?
But here's the thing here's the loophole that they're going to use. And it's another reason why you may end up seeing in your lifetime, in our lifetime, we may end up seeing another Civil War type thing in this country.
Let's do it
because you know it's going to become the point where we as American people see that American politicians can do whatever they want with no repercussions. Joe Biden or Hunter Biden, they didn't provide any documents, so therefore they avoid charges. When you don't provide documents, you're not a treasonous son of a bitch. There is no law for providing access to documents. There's the loophole that they will use. I promise you. I promise you. They didn't provide any documents.
Okay, do you know what it takes to see
They only provided access.
Okay, so
or whatever word they use to get out of this. There's going to be a way they're going to get out of this. You watch.
Ted Cruz has been in Congress for
10 years.
10 years.
If I'm not mistaken. He got elected in 2010 or something like that.
Okay, so he's just a congressman.
He's been through two Senate elections.
The same as Joe Biden in 2009 was just a congressman.
Yeah, senator.
He gets to see classified material. I think he's on the Intelligence Committee, isn't he?
Yes, only in certain situations.
Okay.
That's how it's supposed to be.
But that's because he's
You're
just
supposed to
senator.
go to a secured area to view those documents.
Okay,
Not
right here,
take them out of that
he's
secure
about
area.
to talk about that right here. This is beautiful. Because, okay, 2 tractor-trailer loads of classified documents at a college. How many thousand documents at the Pennsylvania college?
Now, that was the think tank in D.C.
Documents in his house. Documents in his garage. This is what it takes, if you're not the president or vice president, to view a document. When we say you shouldn't have these documents, Ted Cruz is about to describe what he goes through to see a classified document. And we go.
Biden and the Biden White House faces.
Senator, you've been in the SCIF plenty of times. How do you get documents out of the SCIF? I mean, look, you have to sign in and you have to sign out. And when you sign out, you're making a commitment. I am not holding anything that I just looked at, aren't you?
You are. The fact that he had documents from his Senate tenure, I have to admit, is baffling. I've been in the Senate 10 years. I can state to a metaphysical certainty there are no classified documents at my home. How do I know that? Because I've read classified documents in only one place. It is in the SCIF, which is a secure location in the basement of the Capitol. You go down and down and down the stairs. The reporters follow you as you're going, and they stop at the door. They're not allowed to go any further in. You go through a whole series of doors. It's almost like the opening of Get Smart, walking through a whole series of doors. And then you go, there's a police officer, and you check in any electronics you have. You give them your cell phone, you give them your AirPods, you give them your Fitbit. You have no electronics at all. You go through a giant secure door, a second secure door, and you sign out any documents you're going to read, and you read them in that locked room.
Right.
And then you give them back the documents, and you sign them back in, which means if you have them, I don't know how you get them short of. You remember when Bill Clinton was president, his national security advisor, Sandy Berger, who literally took classified documents from a SCIF, stuffed them down his underwear because he wanted to smuggle them out, and he wasn't very good at it. He got caught. I don't know if Joe Biden did that, but I have no idea how he got classified documents out of that SCIF. I don't know any other senator who's ever done that.
Well, wow. This leads me to another topic I want to get your take on, and that is term limits, because this is the issue when people go into Congress and are there for 30, 40, 50 years. You begin to think it's about you, and you have this unlimited power. You tweeted this week that
Term limits is a different conversation. We'll hit a different day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think everybody wants term limits. Well, most people want term limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, dude. Okay, so unless you're stuffing these down your pants, so hold up, though. Now here I go conspiring. Because I don't think he shoved. Okay, that's 800. That's one location. I don't think he shoved 3,000 documents down his pants. Somebody else higher up is giving him access to these documents.
Let me. So, I'm gonna like. It's not really so much a conspiracy, but kind of like a common sense thing. If if you go through that level of security to get in there, I'm just gonna say, as a common sense approach, if you have to go through that level of security to get in there, there's a lesser secure way on the backside. There's a way for this place to receive deliveries. There's a you know what I mean? If you don't have to go through that level of security to get back out with those documents.
No, because they already
You
said
have to
they
have
caught
somebody
a guy.
else on your payroll. You're handing those documents to somebody else.
Right.
And if
right.
those documents are then tagged, that person on the other side of the window takes those documents out, puts the rest of the file back in. Somehow that person is an employee and is going out the back entrance. If that employee's not coming through the front entrance of the Capitol, they don't do that. The Capitol, you'll never see a representative or a senator in their car. They have underground parking. They have back entrances for employees to come in.
Right.
Those employees and working in that skiff are no different. Joe Biden, we both know just from his actions, he's not smart enough or cunning enough to walk out of there with documents in his pants. But
just roll them up and shove them right
there. The people that he's working with, which we now believe to be the Chinese, have a whole lot of money.
The Chinese
and if you're a federal employee in that position, working in that secure location, you might, if you're lucky, you might be making $60,000 a year. And if somebody comes to you and says, "Here's $100,000, man, I'm gonna need you to get this, that, and the third out of here," no problem. Know exactly how to do it. If you're connected in the right places, that back entrance suddenly becomes wide open, front door, in and out. Because, dude, that security guard at that door, the person in that secured location might be making $60,000. That security guard is not even a federal employee. He's working for a third party making $11.50 an hour.
Right.
You come to that motherfucker with 20 stacks, he's like, say less. Shit, I'll let you walk in and out of this motherfucker. Bring your truck. You know what I mean? Shit,
$500,000.
Dude, it might take you $500,000 to bribe 10 federal employees to get that shit out of there. It's not hard.
You know what? For that amount of information, what's a meal?
We're just too dumb hillbilly talking about it. What if we're overcomplicating it? What if the shit never even made it to the secured location? What if they took it right when it was classified? He was like, "I'm gonna take these home." And then his assistant was like, "Okay, I'll turn these into the secured location or whatever, wherever they store these secured material, archives or whatever it's called."
Right. Right.
What if these documents never even went to the archives?
What if this is stolen evidence against him that he personally classified?
He can't. He doesn't have that authority.
No, vice president. Okay, I looked it up.
He never had that authority.
No, my mom got me a copy of the Constitution. It's that thick. It's a book copy. The vice president can classify a document. Now, once he classifies it, it's classified. He can do that. He can declassify at will a document that he deemed classified. That's
so
it.
he can only declassify something he classified.
Yeah.
Which, he doesn't. I mean,
Now, when it's, I guess somewhere in there, when it says classified, it says who it was classified under the authority of. So,
see, I don't know, man. I'll have to read that. I got
That's
a copy of the Constitution
it.
at home. I'll have to go home and check
that's
that
it.
out.
That's other than that, he has no authority with classified papers. He has to, he might hear it in the Oval Office, overhear it. He might overhear it and see it in the FYI was eyes only.
The way I understand it, and I'm gonna go home and read it just to
Eyes
make sure
only,
I didn't
like they
misread
give it to him, he reads it, they tell him what's going on, he's aware, he hands it back. Eyes only. Like, only the president's allowed to go, oh, I got some top secret shit here. Oh, my bad. That's only the president has that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm under the impression, I'm gonna go home and read it. I got a copy of the Constitution at home myself. I'm gonna go home and read it now because I want to make sure I didn't misread that. Under my impression, like, the vice president is a nothing, a nobody. He is, or she is literally nothing. He has no powers to do shit except what the president appoints him to do, which a lot of times it's like the border or the economy, or Obama put Joe Biden in charge of Ukraine. Funny enough, but you're only given powers by the president. So as long as the president is alive and well, the vice president has zero power, and that includes classifying and declassifying.
He has power over Ukraine. So
because he's given that power by the president.
Yeah.
Not because it's part of his job as vice president. His job as vice president is be ready to serve as president should something happen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Other than that, the vice president has no power except what's given to him by the president.
Yeah.
So as long as the president is alive, he has no power to classify or declassify.
Right.
So
But
you
Joe
bring
Biden,
this up, I'm gonna have to go home and read
Joe
my
Biden
Constitution
said on
and
that.
make sure-
I tell you what, though, I know that's how it works legally, man. Joe
That's
Biden.
exactly what I thought.
Joe Biden sits on that stage in that one interview and explains exactly how much pull he has. Call him.
Yeah.
He said, "Call the president. Call him."
Right, over Ukraine, for sure.
But no, the vice president can classify a document, and he can declassify a document that was classified under his authority. But other than that,
see, I don't know. Is that in the Constitution or is that a later amendment?
we will look that up. But
Because I don't
I'm
think that's
pretty
in
sure
the Constitution.
That's
I think
that's
the
the law,
Constitution was very basic, and a lot of the amendments afterwards gave and took the powers and delivered the powers of the federal government. So it might be in there, but mine is just a basic copy of the Constitution, and I'm pretty sure Vice President ain't shit. So maybe a later amendment that classified what powers or what could possibly be in there, but I used to have it on my phone, but an app where I could bring up the Constitution. My battery's getting ready to die.
We'll have to look it up later. We're not going to sit here and do this. Huh?
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I'll go home and look that up. But yeah, that's either way, a lot of these documents, can be traced all the way back to when he was a senator, who has zero powers to classify or
None at all.
So
None.
right,
None.
like let's just say,
What he gets to read
let's
is like
just
we
say
way
he
overblew
had
the
that power.
conversation.
Let's just go ahead and say it. Let's just go ahead and say it. Okay, he had that power to classify or declassify. We'll go ahead and just rule that out. He had that power. All of these documents that they found at the college, though, was from his Senate days. All of the documents at his home were from his Senate days. Only the documents at the think tank in D.C., which was funded by the University of Penn, which was given $50-some million by the Chinese government, that think tank was in D.C. Those documents were from his vice president. Right after his vice president days is when those documents supposedly got there.
After?
after he left the vice president's
So
office.
none of this was during vice president.
No. These documents were moved to this center, the University of Delaware think tank, or whatever, University of Penn, Delaware, I think it is. The think tank, where they first found the original documents. That was founded after his vice presidency ended. That was founded as a think tank for democratic policies or something. You can look it up. There's a fucking motto and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, no, I was reading about when it came out, and like China immediately threw him some bones as soon as it came together.
Well, I don't know about immediately, because you know his vice presidency ended in 15, or 16, when Donald Trump got elected.
I'm a dumb hick. Forgive me if I misquote, but according to something I saw on a clip of the Benny Johnson show, they said that something had gotten out that was in those documents. There was a leak. And there was in those documents apparently was a letter to his daughter from China offering her a job and blatantly saying something along the lines of your family name is the reason you're getting this offer, but don't be offended. That's a great honor in China, etc., etc., etc. But like evidence. Some of it's going to be, if they ever let out what it is, some of it's going to be evidence of dirty stuff he did.
The thing here is, it's going to be another one of these Russian collusion investigations. That's my only problem.
No, the Russian collusion investigation was them looking for nothing, trying to find something. This is going to be them looking for nothing but keep finding something.
No, this was an investigation Donald Trump launched before his presidency ended. He launched this. He hired Robert Mueller to do the investigation. He wanted to find out the truth. Because by forming that commission before he left president, or shortly after, I think it was 2018, when he formed the commission, President Biden, that he doesn't have the power to dismantle that commission until the investigation is over. He cannot just say your investigation's over. He has to honor that shit. So Donald Trump launched that investigation. That shit took 3.5, 4 years. You still haven't heard a final report from Robert Mueller yet.
No, you haven't.
You've heard bits and pieces come out. We know that the collusion was a hoax. We know all this shit now. But we didn't see an official report yet.
Right.
This is 6 years later.
But they did arrest the guy who
several Russian people. They got arrested, but slaps on the wrist. They ain't gonna get no time, really. No. You know, I mean,
turns out collusion with Russia ain't that big of a deal.
Apparently not. You know, so I mean, and it's traced back directly to Hillary. She's never faced any charges. It's just another fucking sham. You know what I mean? Right. But at the end of the day, this will be nothing different. Joe Biden, or not Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, with all of this evidence, he's going to have to appoint a special counsel. And he's going to have to hire his own investigator, which will be obviously a left-leaning investigator. It'll take 3.5, 4 years. It'll cost $50 million for another fucking investigation. And in 4 years, you'll get some, he did this or he did that or blah, 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 blah. And by then, Joe Biden will be dead. Another 3 or 4 year investigation, this man will be 88 years old. I mean, he already can't fucking walk straight.
Right. I think he can walk straight. I just think he keeps seeing family members and wants to hug them.
And then he's like, when he realizes he's trying to walk the wrong way, he's like, oh, yeah. Tries to play it off like, I gotcha. Fucking dude.
Hate when that dementia kicks in.
He's like, it'd be right mid-speech, too. He's like, and blah, blah.
Can you imagine being, you know what? You know what has to be the most frustrating thing in the world? To be Barack Obama in your basement with a microphone trying to give a speech to this man. No, Joe, no, go left. Joe left, go.
Nah, dude, the one where he got off the
You
helicopter.
thought he shook his hand, Joe.
The one where he gets off the helicopter and he like walks completely around through the yard and shit, and the Secret Service agents are like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" There's so many different narrations to this shit. They're like, "The eagle has landed. This stupid motherfucker is walking in circles in the rose garden." Like, oh my god, it's so funny. Like if you haven't seen it, dude, he walks around his asshole and gets to his elbow just to go in the same fucking door.
They're pointing. They're pointing at the sidewalk, and he just walks
right through the grass. Like, whoa! Like, where is this motherfucker going?
My favorite will always be the Easter Bunny.
Yeah. Oh shit, dude! Like, if nothing else,
What are you doing, man? You gonna get whacked.
it's been shit for our country, man. But fucking, dude, at least we got some memes for a couple
Oh
years.
my lord, memes aren't that important. We don't need memes. We need eggs.
Right. Nah, not really. You know, what I mean, that's just what they do.
No, we need eggs.
I don't.
Man.
It don't really affect me none. My eggs are $5 a dozen. $5 for an 18-pack. I mean, that's not horrible.
Right now. It's
I mean, I don't see any egg shortage. I don't know. I don't look at this shit. I don't really pay attention to it, man.
It is costing the average
Yeah, I
American
know.
$9,400 more a year to live this year. 41% is where our inflation is actually at mathematically.
I know that as a person that feels the pinch, I can 100% tell you that everything costs more.
Oh yeah.
Dude, last year to this year, or year before last to last year, I switched jobs and I got a raise of almost $14,000. Just going from working at the state to working at the nursing home. I went from $27,000 a year to almost 40, 39 and some change. I got a huge fucking raise by switching jobs. And I still barely got a small savings. Nothing's really different. But I got a huge raise. Like, I feel that shit.
Right.
I should have money in the bank. We should be going on vacations. I should be living like I got a $40,000 a year salary.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm still making 30. I'm like, shit. So I feel it. I know everybody else does too.
Oh yeah.
And if you got a 2-income family, you probably still feel that shit.
Man, yeah.
I don't care what your salary range is.
Right.
The 2-income families, one's a doctor, one's a lawyer. They make $250,000 a year together. They feel it. It hits everybody.
Oh yeah.
Inflation is a tax on everybody, but it affects the poor the most, or middle class. I'm not poor.
My best news
poor.
in
I
my
don't
life.
consider you poor.
Best news in my life right now is I marked down the meat, so I get first dibs. Like today, I'm gonna make a beautiful grass-fed beef meatloaf.
Hell yeah. I mean, there's always perks to every job, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That perk alone probably saves you a couple $1,000 a year.
I'm thinking about going back to the cab though. Thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, bro. But I mean, that shit's a dying breed. As long as you can make your money. Because I know you didn't make a lot of money doing those handicaps. You got home every day at 5 o'clock, but I don't think you made a lot of money.
No.
But when you was doing those railroad pickups, you was bringing home some bank.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, I got a taste of getting 40 hours a week and still having 3 and 4 days off a week. Man, that shit was nice. Now I'm working 5 days a week and 50 hours. I'm like, I don't know if this old man can handle that shit. You know, I don't mind working hard, but damn, I don't want to do it every fucking day I go in that motherfucker.
Right. Man, I work hard, dude. I throw boxes all day.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, in your defense, you know, right about the time you start getting tired, you're like, oh, it's break time.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just getting warmed up, but I'm gonna take a break.
That's very true. That's very true.
You know, then you come back from break and you're a little bit better. You calm, relax. You know, you work up a little sweat. You build some more boxes, and it's oh shit, it's lunchtime. Once you get to lunch,
I get my
fucking the
workout
day's a
in, that's
breeze.
for sure.
Once you get to lunch, the rest of the day is a breeze. Because
Right.
when you come back from lunch, you probably got 3 hours left.
No,
You're like,
man.
"Fuck it, let's
No,
do
man.
this."
Let me tell you. No, you got it all wrong.
You work harder after lunch.
Yeah, I come in.
That's the worst.
I come in and I work real hard, and then when I go to lunch, it's like the vultures come and they clean all the bones. And then when I come back from lunch, I gotta work
All your stock
extra
is
hard
empty.
before I go home. And yeah, I mean, you know what though? Like you said, work without challenge is mundane, and I'd be upset without a challenge. So
Yep.
I mean, the challenge is accepted. It's not a bad gig. I don't hate it. It's just, you know, sometimes I miss them bursts of money, you know.
Yep, you got to do what you got to do. Whatever you and your family need to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I know if you really want to make any money, you got to work 12-hour days.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah,
but with that, you can work 3 or 4 12-hour days and you're done.
right,
You take 3-day weekends whenever you want.
right.
You know what I mean? Because if I'm not mistaken, the way I understand it, because I used to take the taxi a lot, and things may have changed, but if you're a 12-hour employee, you drop the cab off every night.
Yeah,
Take your own vehicle home. If you're a 24-hour employee, you pay for that cab every day, whether you drive or not. If it sits in your driveway, you still owe the $120 fee or whatever.
You can do
$87, whatever it is.
You can do a day by day 24-hour. In other words, I can
If
get
you're
it.
not driving, you still drop the vehicle off. But
I can rent it Sunday night. I can go get it. I can rent it for 24 hours Sunday night at like 9 o'clock at night. And have to have it back by, or 9 o'clock in the morning. I can rent it Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning and have to have it back Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like you can do a day by day 24 hours.
gotcha.
So I was, you know, it's them long trips when you get them.
Yeah.
They make the difference, you know. That's the, you know, you get up in the morning, you make a couple hospital runs, you've only been at work an hour, you've made your lease, and all of a sudden, holy smokes, they need to pick up in Hazard, Kentucky. You know, you get to Hazard, Kentucky and realize that they got to go to Huntington for their appointment. So you take them all the way back to Huntington from Hazard, Kentucky. You wait $20 an hour, sit there in the hospital parking lot and walk laps around your cab, stretch your legs and wait for about 2 hours. And you take them back to Hazard, Kentucky. You make $2 a mile plus every bit of that.
Right.
You don't get paid nothing driving home. Driving home's on your dime, but I mean, you just
Right.
made.
It was that just like a health insurance
Yeah,
gig, like
yeah, and you just
medical
made.
transport.
You banked $250 today.
But
Like,
how does the
after
company pay that
gas.
out to you? Because you don't get nothing from that.
Yeah, I do.
Like that day, right then and there. Because that's if that's
I'll
an
have it by
insurance payout.
3 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. When those runs, the company will pay you out the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how long it takes for the medical companies to pay that
If
out.
I can find somewhere that'll give me insurance for $125 a month, which isn't bad. I mean, right now I think I'm paying $80 through the company, so it's going to cost me at least $125. If I can find a decent insurance for $125 a month, I'd pop right back over there.
Well, then there you go. Start calling.
Yeah.
Start seeing what they got out there. Dude, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but Obamacare is pretty affordable.
Is it?
Healthcare.gov, bro. If you're going back to the cab, check it out. I know people that got insurance for like $50 a month. I mean, it's a government health insurance. You're gonna be limited to the doctor. If you need MRIs, you're gonna need prior approvals, and you're gonna have to jump through hoops to get insurance that cheap. But if you're willing to spend $125 to get better insurance, it's there too. It's like one healthcare.gov. It's like one big fucking shopping center for insurance. But they do have that low cost government option. But if you're really going to go back to the cab, then you made $60, $70, $80,000 when you were really huffing it.
Right.
Whatever you made.
Right, yeah.
And you can afford to pay for decent insurance.
Right.
But if you get on that site, then they might be able to put you in a group, get you some savings.
What's going on, Christy? You missed a lot today.
Yeah, now we're just shooting the breeze. Shooting the breeze, talking health insurance right now.
Did I ever tell you, dude, speaking of like old health insurance and getting old, about my AARP rabbit hole I went down?
No, but I've already looked at AARP, and there is some pretty cost-efficient things on there.
There are.
And I just realized you don't have to be a certain age to join them motherfuckers. So I'm like, go ahead and join them.
99 love balloons. But so AARP. Oh God, I wish I had time to pull this up on here.
You got a charger over there by chance?
AARP. No.
American Association for Retired Persons.
Yeah, well, I picked up their pamphlet one day and I was looking at it, and I noticed I don't even remember what it was. I'd have to pull out a pamphlet. I noticed something and it made me go, are they like involved in progressive, something about their mission statement said something about progressive ideals. So I start digging. And it turns out that they fund progressive movements and progressive movement action. They're directly connected to Soros and all them dirty, they literally do. By the time you read everything, by the time I got done reading, I was convinced that when you see the kids pulling the picket signs out of the back of the U-Haul full of bottled water, AARP paid for that, I think.
Yeah.
Dude.
You never know.
I just thought that was a silly rabbit hole. But if you pull up AARP and read their mission statement, you'll immediately be like, huh? Well, let me get more into what are your progressive ideals, because there's a whole section on the website about the progressive ideals.
Wow.
When you get home, look at the AARP website and start digging around in there reading a little bit.
But when you think about it, companies like this are considered non-profit.
Did you see the balloon, Christy? Did it go by you?
It didn't go by me. Not that I saw it.
It didn't go by us. They claimed that one was above the Pentagon at one point, and I was like, "It went above the Pentagon and you didn't shoot at it?" No.
But the memes that were on Twitter with the balloon flying over Alabama.
Yeah.
It was like a dude throwing a Bud Light bottle and shit. Dude, that shit had me fucking dying. I was like, Alabama? That looked like West Virginia. Shit, that dude looked just like West Virginia. He had a shirt on. It was too small, and you could see the lower half of his fat belly. It literally, his wife looked like his sister and shit. I was like, that was the greatest freaking meme ever, dude. And I know it's on Facebook and Instagram or wherever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter more than I'm in anything else. But, dude, that shit had me dying.
Yeah. I think General McMillan's in the. If you want to get into the balloon again, I think McMillan's in with China.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to say.
Well, I mean,
because there's no power checks. Joe Biden is literally not doing anything when it comes to any branches of government. Like, he's not proactively fixing anything. He's just kind of letting his people run. You know what I mean? General Milley's been unchecked for 2 years, maybe longer than that, when he went behind Trump's back and talked to President Xi. You know what I mean? General Milley's issues go way back.
Right.
Ever since that day, you can't tell me he might not be in that president's pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How do you go over the president and call the president of another country? Yeah, you got some power,
not
bro.
go to jail.
Right. That's fucking
Like,
treason.
what was it they said? What was it they said General Flynn did?
I don't know about
He
General
called
Flynn,
the
but
president,
General Milley
he-
called the president and guaranteed
He
that there
called
would be no nuclear strike, no missile strikes on
General
China's mainland
Flynn
or some
called
shit.
an ambassador, and
Maybe, yeah,
had a conversation, and they tried to hit him with the what was that? What's the act? The
Patriot Act?
No, it's an act where a member of the U.S. government cannot call a foreign power without directly talking to the president or the administration first.
Yeah, I don't know the exact name of it, but I know what you're talking
It'll
about.
come to me after we get done.
Yeah, that's how it usually works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's definitely a puppet on the string.
Yeah.
I like I said though, I think it's funny how frustrated the guy on the microphone must be sometimes.
But I think I don't
Just
care.
repeat the line.
I don't care what anybody
Repeat the line.
really. I think the consensus among a lot of Republicans and several Democrats is that Joe Biden's a freaking idiot. There's a consensus among us, and you know, even like I said, even some Democrats are like, this dude is an idiot. But one thing that I think everybody agrees on is having Joe Biden bumbling his way through the next 2 years is far better than Kamala. Far better than Kamala Harris.
Kamala. Here's the bad
Because
news about Kamala. You know what the bad news about Kamala is?
I mean,
She's pretty scandal free.
No, she's not. What do you mean? What do you mean scandal free? Dude, she got hired as an assistant prosecutor for the LA County Sheriff's Office. Sucked the fucking dick of the lead prosecutor, called his wife with the video and blackmailed him to get him out of office so she could be appointed as the prosecutor.
I mean, as vice president.
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Well, your scandals follow you.
Right.
Your scandals follow you. Bro,
I definitely don't want her as vice
she
president.
literally kept people in prison past their get out time.
Oh yeah, intentionally to make
Ju-
money for the prison.
Just to make money for the prison systems. Like, she is horrible. Her scandals follow her. She sucked her way to the top. And yes, she has a law degree. But really, cool. I mean, AOC has an economics degree. Your degree doesn't impress me anymore. You know, that doesn't matter to me. It's
You know what that tells
you do
me?
when you have
It
position
tells
of power.
me if she does the math, she knows what she's doing.
As a prosecutor, she locked up thousands
Yeah,
of people for simple
Biden's
marijuana
doing hell.
positions. Just to fuel the fucking private prison industry.
Mm-hmm.
She's horrible. And I think everybody can agree that she's horrible. And I would much rather bumbling Joe Biden not do shit for the next 2 years. Because we have a majority in House. Nothing's getting done. You're not passing any laws. We're gonna pass laws in the House. They're gonna pass laws in the Senate. But none of that shit's getting passed back and forth. That's how they do it. The House of Representatives legalized marijuana federally 6 years ago. It's been sitting in the Senate desk for years, waiting to be passed by the Senate.
And they bring it up every election.
Yeah, but the House of Representatives passed it years ago. But you can't get both parties to agree on anything.
Right.
So you could pass laws all day, but until it goes from the House to the Senate and then to the President, it's not a law. So you're basically, for the next 2 years, you're at a deadlock in Congress. Nothing's getting passed, nothing's getting done. So, in essence, you have stopped President Biden's spending spree, so to speak.
Right.
Because you can't get nothing through Congress now. So, you know, we as an American people need to get some people in Congress that can work with each other to get things done for the American people. Or you and I are witnessing the collapse of this country.
Very fast.
Because it's okay to have differences, but if you can't find common ground, eventually those differences lead to separation, so to speak. And whether that's a, you know, what's the word I've seen floated around, like a friendly divorce. You know what I mean? You go live in the states that you want to live in and get the fuck out of this state kind of divorce. Or it's at a civil war kind of thing, or it's, I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know. But if we don't find some way to work together and some way to get on common ground politically, it has to be less divided than it is, or this country's doomed.
Very fast.
Yeah, that's fact. It's sad, but it's fact. Or, you know, our generation of kids and grandkids might not have shit left.
Check that out. Can't see it, huh?
I see something scrolling
How about
across there.
Hunter Bright Orange? Bright Hunter Orange.
Yeah, that's even worse. See, that's why we need to learn how to edit.
I know.
Because we can record stuff and put some scrolls across the screen, and we can get those videos right without wasting time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we'll figure all that out.
We will.
So we're getting a new Gmail account set up.
Yeah.
So we can get
We'll have that
get our
launched.
channel connected. We should have that together next week.
We'll have it done sometime this week.
That'll be easy for us to post individual type videos when we're whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Never know.
I would love to have been able to do some video yesterday when I was hiking.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how that went, because yesterday turned out to be really nice yesterday.
Really pretty, man.
It was cold as fuck yesterday morning, but
Had a really good hike.
where'd you go?
Just
here?
Just up the holler here and around and up and to the cemetery and down to the old rock caves and stumbled my way back down the road to into my
Do you
neighbor's
keep track
yard.
of how long of a hike it is? Is it hours, miles? Have you done this hike before? Or?
Oh yeah, I've done this hike. This is kind of like my hike loop.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, you
How long
know,
does it take you?
it can take an hour and a half, 2.
So it's not many miles. It's just a nice little.
Yeah, I was going 2.5 yesterday. I'll take my little pack with my little coffee kit. Stop, boil me a little bit of water with a fire, and have a cup of coffee, and sit down somewhere and just clear my head.
Hell yeah! Have hot coffee in the woods on a cold morning.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah! Sucks. You need to start a fire to do that. You need one of those things that just boils water.
I got one, man, but it's extra weight.
But
My little fold-out aluminum stove weighs an ounce.
But for an hour and a half, that's not a lot of weight. Ounce and a half? You're not complaining about an ounce and a half, are you, motherfucker?
No, that's what I'm saying. My little fold-out metal stove that I burn like 2 or 3 sticks under, little tiny little twigs. I just break off little twigs and keep feeding them under it, and keep a little hot fire going.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, that takes
It takes less time to
Well, it takes, not less time. Don't even take less time. Like, it boils in about the same amount of time as my rocket stove. But that weighs 1.5 ounces, and I got to break off a dead limb somewhere.
And the
A small
rocket stove
dead limb.
weighs how much?
Probably 1.5 pounds by the time I put it all together. But my little fuel canister, my little stove kit.
Yeah, for a long hike, that's a lot of fucking weight.
If I was gonna eat a meal,
yeah, you take that.
Yeah.
For a long hike, that's a lot of weight, but that's still pretty light. For something you can use daily to warm up food, if you're out there for 7 or 10 days, that's.
Well, if you're out there for overnight, like I said, if you're gonna warm up, if you're gonna boil some water to put together a camping meal.
Yeah.
That rocket boil is amazing, and it's fast. Yeah.
Especially if it's rainy and shit, because you don't need dry kindling to start a fire.
I can boil like 2 cups of water in like 3 minutes. Like it's
Hell yeah, that's exactly what I would need. Yep. So have you thought about your camping trips this summer?
Yeah, we've been putting that together. Kids want to go to Sutton.
Sutton's good. The only thing I don't like about Sutton is no Wi-Fi, man. I love my fucking
no
music.
Wi-Fi.
I love my music, man. I love my portable
I
speaker.
don't. But you know what? There's no. I don't want to go to Bull Run. I definitely don't want to go to Bull Run. I don't want to go to. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to pick a lake.
Yeah, the lake is not a hard pick. If I'm going to Sutton, 100% I want Gerald Freeman. Because if I have to choose and not have Wi-Fi, I want the best campground there is. Gerald Freeman is sweet.
Nice.
I love Gerald Freeman. But dude, you have to drive 4.5 miles towards town to get a signal.
But somehow it's quickest to get to Walmart from Gerald Freeman.
But that road is fucking windy as shit. And dude, whoever it is in the world, somebody, please, if you have any ambition of making money, reopen that fucking store. Good God, that store would
What,
make so
the
much
one Gerald
money.
Freeman?
Right there. It's been closed for years. Unless they reopened it
The
within
one
the last
in the
2 years.
campground?
Yep.
It's open, man.
Not 2 years ago.
Man,
that
you
shit
can
was
take
for
a
sale.
kayak. You could take a kayak down there and go get you some. I would take the job of living in that camper and working that store.
Fuck, not the job. I want to own that store, and I will live in a camper.
No
In the
doubt.
wintertime, I'll shut down because nobody comes during the wintertime.
No doubt.
But speaking of kayak, anyway, you talk to your mom about the boat?
Yeah, she ain't getting rid of that. Damn. I was trying to get her to let me fix the boat up. Now I have a trailer to put all my camping gear in and a boat.
Right? And she was like, nope.
No.
It just sit there and rot.
let me get a license on it, something. But no, I'd like to get that boat up and running.
Yep.
Well, we've been at this for 2 hours.
It don't feel like it. My phone just died.
Yeah.
So, heck yeah.
It's been a good week. Again, we're launching the new account this week.
It shouldn't affect anybody that's watching because it should be the same everything. But
yeah.
We'll have an email account and we'll send email links or whatever we need to do to connect everything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll post a quick little video to this account and let you know that it's active, and we'll do a quick little introduction video on that account, and there'll be something to look for. So, yeah, you have a really good day too. Sorry you missed us this morning. You should watch the show and catch up. We bumbled for 2 hours.
Yeah, just like we always do. I think that's our thing. Is it's non-scripted. We just have a few topics and we talk shit.
Right. Right.
So, I think that's our thing. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll build on that, and we'll be once we get this new account up and running, we'll be able to post from our cell phones out in the woods or wherever the freak we are.
Yeah.
Might be on my kayak a lot this summer, so.
And you know what? We're already at the point we can take all this and just go sit in the backyard and do a show.
Yep.
So
I mean, we can do video once we get on our phone, get everything connected. We can do videos anywhere, and then when we get back to civilization, we can post them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because your phone will record anywhere. It might not transmit, You might not have a signal. You'd be
But it
zero
will
signal, but
record
that shit
anywhere.
will record anywhere. We come back from camping and have 17 videos to post because we ain't had no Wi-Fi for 4 days.
Right. So, all right.
But anyway, thank you for tuning in, Christy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. And like I said, we'll let you know.
See
Until
you all
next week, I'm Justin.
I'm John.
Have a good week.